Hey everybody, it's Marshall Muck here, and this is going to be my Gotham Season 4 Episode 1 review. Oh, I'm so excited. Episode 2 is coming out tonight. I decided to do this video, and then watch that episode, and then get that video ready for tomorrow's release. So that way you get a back-to-back sort of thing. I know you had to wait for the first video to come out, but still, you get to watch my opinions on both this episode and the next one, not that far apart. And I promise I will get those videos out, this one and that one. But until then, why don't you just sit back and enjoy my review? Because we have a little bit to talk about. We don't have too much to talk about because this is the first episode, but we do have some stuff to discuss. So let's start off with my first favorite point of the episode, which was Penguin and Ivy. I just enjoy Penguin. I love Robin Lord Taylor. I think he brings so much to this role. His lines were amazing. I don't know why, I don't know who wrote the episode, but whoever wrote the episode, they get a medal. Because I love the line where he looks at Ed and he's like, which one of us is frozen? Is it you or me? And I feel like that was just so fantastic. Or the Pax Pengunia line. That was just so fantastic. You know, the Julius Caesar. You know, that reference, it kind of reminds me of something Lex Luthor in the DCEU would say. Just something very intelligent, intellectual, something that really shows how smart a character actually is. And I think that Penguin really shows that. I mean, he always has, but I feel like we forget that quality about Penguin, is that he's a smarter, more intricate Penguin than we're used to. Ivy, on the other hand, I don't know where Ivy fits in Gotham right now in the show. I feel like, you know, she's been with Penguin for a while, but at the same time, she kind of betrayed him in this episode, so I don't know what's going on with her. Also, she's very different than what we're used to for Poison Ivy. I mean, obviously, she doesn't have that sexier plants type of vibe. I mean, she is all about the environment, she is about nature, but I mean, we've seen hints of it. And even her abilities too, with her perfuming, you can see she's still wearing the bottle around her neck. But she just doesn't have that sexy vibe that Poison Ivy has. She's more of like a ditzier, but maybe she'll come into her own this season now that she's portrayed Penguin. Speaking of Penguin, I really enjoyed his conversation with Bruce. You know, him and Bruce in the comics have never been, or I guess in the mythos, not just in the comics, but in all the mythos, had never really been the best friends, of course. But it's really fun to see their conversations, especially the one where Bruce was like, what are you going to do to these men? I mean, that was just fantastic. And the whole Bruce coming into his own, using this as his personality was great, especially because of Penguin with the whole legalized crime thing. I thought that was insane. I thought that was just so fun. And it was also very realistic of how they explained it without getting into the it's really hard because it's a very complicated thing to talk about, because legalized crime is just like, how does that make sense? But here they really made it work without getting too into it. But yes, Bruce is fantastic. David Mazouz has always been a good actor to me. I do think David has to work on his Batman, or his vigilante, right? I don't think it's quite there yet. I don't think his fight choreography, his marks, I don't think he's making them quite well. I think he's just, you know, him and the stunt double switching in and out. I just don't think it's working. I really do think that they need to work with David a little bit more. The vigilante voice, like if I was Penguin's assistant and a kid's voice in that big, you know, black coat started talking, I wouldn't be so intimidated, right? So they need to work with David just a little bit to get that Batman out there if they're going to fast track it. Because while I still don't agree with the fast tracking, I do think they need to wait a while, maybe season 7 until Batman comes in. I do think that I can't change it, so I might as well coach them on it, right? I do think that they should work with David a little bit. But other than that, his Bruce Wayne is perfect. I think his Bruce is just so great. He works with it, especially like just the tendencies that Bruce has, right? The stern, regal look that Bruce has always had in the comics. David's so good at it, and it's natural to him, and I think that that's fantastic. And when there's Bruce, there's always Selena. Oh, heck yeah, boy. I mean, Selina Kyle, Cameron Beekendova is fantastic as this character. Not only does she make her marks, right? She's the opposite of David. I think they need to work more on her Selena more than they do her Catwoman, right? Her Catwoman was always fantastic ever since season 1. You know, it was the early season 1, she was much more Catwoman there. And they kind of lost that for the longest time, but then they came back with it here. Her fight scene in the alley was fantastic. The whip, the crowbar, the flips. It was all Michelle Pfeiffer meets Grey Delisle from the animated Catwoman in Arkham City, right? It was just all of it. into one character, into one scene, and that was just so great. And also, I love her working with Tabitha. I really felt like in Season 3, Tabitha didn't really have much to do until the end with her fight with Barbara, right? With her confrontation with her and Barbara, and of course with Butch, right? I felt like there wasn't anything for her to do. But here now, training Selena, being with her, being this duo, and now working for Penguin, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Like, what's their angle? What's going to go with them? Like, what's going to happen? Are they going to be separated? Is one of them going to betray the other? Like, who knows what's going to happen, right? There's just so many possibilities, and I think that Tabitha is just doing so well. Now, I'm really worried because her and Butch never work, right? It's just kind of a waste of time, because here you can see that she's coming into her own now as a character ever since we lost her, right? I mean, she's always been a part of a duo, whether it was her and her brother, right, or whether it was her or Butch, right? But now it's her and Selena. But even though they're a duo, you see both sides of one coin, right? You see them as individuals working together rather than a duo with one depending on the other, right? It's a mutualistic relationship. Both of them benefit. And then Scarecrow. Oh yes, Jonathan Crane is back. I like Jonathan Crane. I love the actor who plays him. He's really wonderful. The costume's okay. The mask could have been a little bit better. I think the rest of it's cool. The mask could have been a little bit more intimidating. But I do think that overall it's an okay design. Everything works. I'm excited to see where they take this version of Scarecrow, right? It's kind of weird they didn't explain, because he was in that room for the longest time, right? And he was scared of that Scarecrow, but then he became the Scarecrow. So I'm wondering, like, if they're going to explain that, what's going to go on with it, who knows what's going to happen, and I'm so excited for Scarecrow to meet all the other villains, right? I just think he's so fantastic. The fear gas was so well explained here with the gang and everything. It was just so much fun, and they were able to make it work with what time they had, and now I'm excited to see where they take this version of Scarecrow, because it's just going to be so interesting. And also, I really do like that he's also closer to Bruce's age, right? We haven't had a villain in a while that's closer to Bruce's age other than Jerome. And I feel like Jerome is a kind of temporary fix, right? I mean, you can't have Jerome all the time, just because he's that one character that always comes out to play once in a while, right? So Scarecrow being closer to Bruce's age is just fantastic. But what did you guys think of the episode? Comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Who is your favorite character? What do you guys think of Dobby Mazouz's coming into Batman? Same thing for Cameron Beekendova for Catwoman. Wasn't too much to talk about with Gordon and Bullock. They're just messing around, right? They're just doing their jobs. So we'll talk about them probably in the next episode once we get things going, right? This is kind of just like a jump back into things. So what did you guys think again? Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later for some more videos. Bye-bye.